Another dull day passes as you struggle to manage your failing farm. Your crops are beginning to wilt, and your cow is sick. For some time the land has been very quiet. The air has grown thick and foul. Each passing day you feel more uncertain if things will ever return to how they were before. Perhaps it is up to you. You've made up your mind. You're going to do something about it. You stand in front of your humble home, pondering what you should do next. You attempt to open the shed door, but the door won't budge. You remember locking it some time ago, but you can't remember what you did with the key. Entering the house, you feel a subtle uneasiness, as if the growing blight outside has penetrated the walls of your safe haven. From what you see, however, everything is the same as you left it. Perhaps this may be a good time to just lay in bed, and wish that your problems would just go away. You fight the notion, but the temptation is still there. You lay in your bed and fall asleep to the light sound of wind blowing outside against the grass. You begin to hear whispers and chants, but you can't make anything of it. An image appears before you, a stone, glowing as if it were alive. The chants get louder as your vision grows in more detail. You reach towards the stone with your hand. As your finger makes contact, a clash of thunder rattles around you. Your clothing and skin start to flake away, like dust in the wind. The particles flow into the stone, sapping the life from your body. You feel pain you have never experienced before, and fear begins to flood over you. You suddenly see yourself laying in bed, never to wake up again. Your adventure ends here. Dear Journal, another usual day on the farm. The crops are growing with good health. Bethany is doing quite well, never disappointed with the milk she provides. If things continue to go well, I may be able to invest in more animals. A farmer can only be so social with a cow. Dear Journal, today has been an unfortunate day. Somebody broke into my shed and stole some things. I usually don't mind if someone steals a bite to eat from the garden, but to take my equipment, well, I put a lock on the door and hid the key. Nobody will ever get into my stuff again. Dear Journal, I woke one night to a foul smell I have never come across before. I took a step outside to see what I could find, but I found nothing after searching about the farm. Whatever it is, it must be bad. I should make a trip in the city, see what this is about. You open the chest and find nothing more than a pile of papers. It seems you have less valuables than you anticipated. You close the chest. A path divides the crops you have labored so hard to prosper these past months. A penetrating odor reminds you that your plants are decaying away, and time is running short. A toxic fume burns your nose as you enter the pen. Your poor cow lays lifeless on the ground as the growing blight slowly begins to consume her body. You feel sick to your stomach as you stand here, especially as you stare at the black mushrooms that dot the ground. You inspect the water, looking for anything abnormal. You notice that the water has a dark consistency to it. Dropping a stone into it, black particles from the bottom swirl about like a thunderstorm. Your face shrivels in disgust. You kneel down and grab a mushroom. As you begin to rip it out of the ground, a cloud of spores spray from the mushroom. Your hands begin to burn and melt as you observe them. Slowly, your body shrivels up into a dark, moist consistency as the poison spreads. You die, eventually, after crawling about on the ground. Your adventure ends here. You continue down the trail for a while until you see a cave off in the distance. You pause, questioning if there could be something helpful in there. There is a faint whistle from the wind passing between the rocks. The temperature significantly cools as you enter the cave. You notice that there is a different smell, but you welcome it, comparing it to the deathly blight found outside. Hell yeah. Before you take your next step, a large bear emerges from the darkness. You realize that you have made a terrible mistake, even thinking that something helpful can be in here. Fight him. You scan the ground and notice there are numerous rocks you can grab to throw at the bear. You begin to do so as the bear approaches you. One after the other, you throw the rocks as hard as you can. The bear charges at you as you bend over to grab another rock. Tackling to the ground, the bear bites into your neck. Your body quickly goes limp and you die. Your adventure ends here. Seems like a good idea. Blah, 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 blah. You come to a stop as you stumble upon a broken wagon. You look about the mess and find bits of food and clothes scattered about the scene. You notice a key on the ground during your search. You pick up the key and continue on your way. After what felt like an hour or two, you reach a bridge. Nearby, the path of a small shack, similar to the house you have on the farm. The man that lives there is a kind fellow from what you recall. Maybe he is home. You walk towards the shack. Structure and knock on the door. You scratch the back of your head, figuring that the person that lives here is currently occupied, if not elsewhere. You remember picking up a key from the wagon and use it on the door. The door unlocks. You decide to help yourself in. Observing the empty room, you realize something terrible must have taken place here. The room is a wreck, just like the wagon. You are overcome with fear as you think of the man that used to dwell here. You pick up the book and start to flip through the pages. You discover that this is a journal. Reading a passage or two can't hurt. Today's trading went smoothly, thank goodness. What I am thrilled most about, however, is what one of my buddies mentioned to me at the conclusion of our day. Apparently there is a pond nearby that has some of the biggest fish in the region. With a good catch, I can make enough to move things forward. I was caught off guard when he mentioned that nobody has ever been able to catch any from there. I guess your typical fishing rod won't do the trick. What can be done about it then? Something to be intrigued about, I suppose. These past couple weeks have been really rough for me. My trading business has gone under and I have lost nearly everything I own. This has pushed me to extremes, but this can't be helped now. I'm leaving this place forever, never to return. The land is dying and there's nothing but darkness here. Anyone reading this should leave while they can. You can't find a name to give this man, but regardless of the name, you got chills running down your spine. You observe the trap door and notice a lock keeping it closed. With the key, you unlock the hatch and get it open. Without thinking, you travel downward. Walking down the steps leading below, the air attacks your body with a piercing cold. You notice immediately that there is a woman chained to the wall. She doesn't seem to notice you as you study her. You feel darkness around you as you stay in this awful place. You tremble as you try to form words in your mouth. You there, let me out of here. The pressure of such a demand makes you freeze. You take a moment to think about the situation before you respond. What got you locked up to begin with? You'll never believe me, even if I told you the truth. Something brought you here. Please, have mercy on me. You approach the woman and unlock the shackles that bind her. As her arms become free, she moans in pain. Oh, thank you so much. The woman struggles to regain her strength but starts to stand on her own. As she gets up, she turns towards you. I will now do you a favor. What seemed to be the face of a helpless woman disappears as a horrible image manifests itself before you. You feel the chilling grip of bone hands lock into your arms. Energy flees from your body and you fall to your knees. You feel the essence of your life slip away as everything goes black. It is unfortunate that your journey ends here. You leave the shack and cross the bridge before something bad happens. You cross the bridge safely and continue down the path, or trail, or anything, whatever. After all that has happened, you feel that you should take a moment to rest. You find a spot under a tree and sit down. Getting comfortable, you tilt your head back against the tree and gaze into the sky. As you pick at the grass blades in your reach, the ground begins to shake. Before you can get up, roots from below sprout from the ground and wrap around your legs. You turn around to see a large, angry face looking back at you. Your jaw drops in horror. No sound or scream escapes your tongue as the tightening grip of the roots squeeze what air is left out from your body. Your adventure ends here. Blah, 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 blah. Let's take that nap. Your eyes close and your body relaxes. You fall asleep within seconds. As your mind wanders, you see a blurry image. Details emerge as you gaze. You wonder what this might be. A bad feeling then overcomes you and you realize who this is. You try to wake yourself up. You wake up and jump to your feet, looking about yourself and your surroundings. All seems well. You can't help but feel fearful that something bad will happen to you if you stay here. Moving forward seems like the only logical option now. You reach a point where the trail splits into two paths. Which way should you go? After continuing down the path for some time, you come to a stop. You notice there is some sort of trail that leads the grass up towards a nearby hill. If you had not stopped, you probably would have never noticed. Which way do you go? You walk for some time to find an endless field of grass. There's a stone well near the path. You peer down the well. Other than the evident water at the bottom, there's a coin resting against the wall of the well. If possible, you feel you should go down and take the coin. You lean over the edge of the well. There's no possible way you can obtain the coin by reaching for it. With this in mind, you turn and climb down along the inner wall of the well. You take a few successful steps down, but your luck runs out. You misplace your foot and you fall. Tumbling about, your body clashes against the stone walls. With a single knock on the head, you lose all consciousness of your accident. With a splash, you fall into the water. Your body sinks effortlessly, and you're drowned. And you're drowned without realizing it. Your adventure ends here. Oopsie. Walking over hills of grass and grain, you reach the walls of Arrowmore. Several times a year, you come here to trade goods from the farm. You discover the plague that has spread to your farm has also spread all the way out here. The path before you is overrun with blight. You have come a long way and you don't desire to turn back now. You march forward into the tainted soil. Before you can realize what happened, you sink completely under the ill soil. Darkness consumes you and your lungs struggle for air. Your body burns in pain as you suffocate and die. Your adventure ends here. Following the subtle trail in the grass, you stumble upon what looks like a grave. You approach the grave. You look at the sword with intrigue. Before you can touch the sword, a ghostly figure appears before you. You freeze before the apparition. The sword, may I have it? The blade is cursed. I am bound here by the pain of my past. If you desire the sword, free me from it. You slowly motion for the sword. Fool! Only something of pure essence can free me. A rare hope, like a flower found in darkness. Give me that sword. You reach for the sword. Before you can lay a finger on it, the spirit grabs your arm. A sharp pain flows over your body as your flesh melts off of your bones. The fragments remain, fall to the ground. Your adventure ends here. You step near the lake and look down into it. Resting underwater is an orb of some sort, sitting on the bottom of the lake. There is something strange about it, as if it was calling out to you. You close your eyes and jump into the lake. You open your eyes to see the stone sitting before you. You start to make your way towards it. A large fish comes into view. It quickly notices you with its mouth stretched open. You try to leave for the surface, but the fish catches up to you. You quickly find yourself helpless before the creature. You close your eyes as the giant fish rips your body apart with its teeth. You die a very painful death. Your adventure ends here. You pause to see that there is a lake nearby. The trail continues on to your right. The faint trail comes to an end. There's a collection of stone pillars down the hill. Beyond the hill is a large field of grass. You stand before the large stones arranged in the shape of a circle. In the center of the stone is what appears to be some sort of slot or hole. No doubt about it. Something is meant to be placed here. Seeing that you can't do anything, you head back. You find yourself gazing over a grass field with hills rolling off into the distance. As a trick upon your eyes, you see a unicorn run across the field. It disappears out of sight before you can do anything. Surely the unique powers of a unicorn can help you with your quest, but there is clearly something wrong. If only there was a way to charm it. Blah 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 blah. You listen to the specter and leave the sword. The figure fades out of view. You reach the end of the pathway. In the distance is a tower looking over the area. A gate secures passage to the area with a wall around the property. Also of interest, there is a tree that has a hole carved into it. You approach the gate cautiously. Standing before the tower, your heart begins to sink. There is no doubt the birthplace of the spreading plague. There's a fountain before you with statues on your right and left. You approach the door. As you reach for the doorknob, an invisible barrier stops you. It must be some sort of magic. There's a dark haze about the fountain. The water is black, and the smell burns with every breath. You feel a slight pull towards the fountain as if it was calling for something. You see an old statue of an angel has been consumed by vines of thorn. The angel is holding a book in one hand, the other with one finger pointed up towards the sky. You feel it's best to leave the statue alone. Before you stands an old angel statue that is broken into many areas. With one hand, the angel is holding some sort of bowl. With the other hand is hovering over the bowl. You notice that there is only 2 remaining fingers on the angel's other hand. You feel you should keep your distance and just observe the statue. You approach the tree and notice the hole is big enough to fit your hand in. You look and see something shining in the hole as if it were metal. Feeling around with your hand, you find 3 knobs. One on the right, one in the center, and one on the left. The knobs lock in place. You hear the rumbling of rocks as the ground starts to shift underneath you. Everything goes dark and you sink below the surface. The hole above you seals up, trapping you underground. You find yourself with no evident way out, but the path before you is into the darkness. Your only choice is to move forward. You see 3 separate paths within the walls of the cavern. Which path do you choose? You cautiously step forward into the darkness. You come to a divide. Which way do you go? You hear a subtle echo of shifting rocks before you. An eye appears before you as its gaze pierces the darkness. Before you can do anything, tentacles burst on the ground and grip your body. It pulls you about, but you resist as much as you can. Not sure what you can do, you continue to resist until you can think of something. Your body begins to grow weak as your strength burns away. You suddenly feel yourself pulled to the ground, and you are dragged about like a rag doll. It is not long before the creature devours your body, leaving nothing behind. Your adventure ends here. The passageway divides before you. Where do you go? The passageway soon ends with an enlarged mushroom sitting in front of you. A steady river of water flows between you and the mushroom. You walk towards the mushroom as if there was something more than what meets the eye. Walking forward, you take a step into the water. To your dismay, your foot hits no bottom and you fall in. You reach to grab hold of the edge of the surface, but your body freezes stiff. You lose your sight completely as the chilling water sends your body into shock. Without any sense of touch and warmth, your lifeless body sinks into the darkness. Your adventure ends here. You walk forward into the dark, unsure of what lies beyond. 2 paths you may go. Which do you choose? As you make your way forward, you discover a large cavern. An old-looking ship rests against the edge of the lake, with debris scattered about the surrounding area. You cautiously walk down towards the ship. The air is chilling. You fear it won't be a good idea to stay too long. The possibility of discovering something that can help you drives you to explore. You climb aboard the ship. As you take a moment to observe your surroundings, you are only welcomed by the trickle of water rushing against the wood of the ship. You move about to see where you can go. Every footstep you take feels heavy as you hear the sound of wood crackling under your feet. You feel this ship has been here for quite some time. You explore under the deck of the ship. Nothing but the sound of your footsteps bounce about the structure of the ship. From one room to another, you come to discover a kitchen. Although there is nothing unique about it, you feel you should take a moment to inspect it. You see a lone pot resting upon a dusty stovetop. You gaze downward and open the oven door. Nothing but ash filled the oven chamber. You close the oven door. You pull one out after another, finding that there has been emptied. Dust spreads about the air as you disturb their rest. Checking underneath, you discover a rusty knife resting on the floor. You find that there are plenty of hardened rat droppings dotting the edge of the wall. You take the knife in hopes that you may defend yourself with it. You continue your lonely tour of the ship, only to find that there is nothing of use or value. You make your way to the deck and decide you continue your search. Again, you find nothing much but empty rooms, left to remain in dark solitude. You discover a door with a fancy marking about the woodwork. Perhaps this is where the captain resided. You discover the room of the captain, unlike the other parts of the ship. Everything seems to be left alone in this room. Before you rests an old wooden desk with papers and assumed belongings of the captain. There's a small bed off near the corner of the room, and some chairs in the other. You have a feeling deep down that you shouldn't take anything. Other than the lamp and other objects, there is a small stack of papers in contrast to a lone paper resting by itself. Approaching the desk, you begin to inspect the papers resting on the desk. Notice to the crew. Due to our unexpected predicament, everyone is being split up into groups of 2 and 3. Scouting assignments will be given until we find a more habitable place to settle. For now, we must do what we can. Peering about the pages of the collective pile of documents, you realize that most of these are personal notes or journal entries. You pick a few and begin to read. Day 7. The voyage has gone quite smooth as we begin our second week from home. The spirits of the men are high as we anticipate the discovery of new lands that lie beyond our documented knowledge. It has been my dream to accomplish something world-changing. Together we move forward with full hearts and unbreakable spirits. Day 66. It has been just 2 months out at sea, and we have yet discovered anything new. We have suffered through many storms, and sickness has plagued the ship recently. Several of my favorite crew have passed on to the next life. I see the growing doubt in the eyes of my fellow laborers as our voyage continues day after day. Food rations have been cut in half, and fears that we may have to turn back. I dare not let myself think of failure. These men who have lost their lives have sacrificed to make the voyage possible. I cannot let them be in vain. Day 91 has come to roughly 3 months out here on the endless blue. With much pain we have turned around. Yes, we have headed for home port. We have just enough food to make it back. I just hope we have a smooth journey back. The spirits of the crew are low and bitter due to our failure. I do not let myself get caught up in thinking of it. Truly, we do not intend for this to happen. Seeing that there is little left to see, you take your leave. The wood under your feet crackle as you exit the vessel. You make your way to where the tunnel divides. 2 paths you may go, blah blah blah. You move forward into the darkness. You see 3 separate blahs. Cautiously make your way through the darkness. I will go left. Because I actually need to go straight now. You cautiously step forward into the darkness. You come to a divide. Which way do you go? You hear a subtle echo of shifting rocks before you. An eye appears before you as its gaze pierces the darkness. Before you can do anything, tentacles burst from the ground and grip your body. It pulls you about, but you resist as much as you can. You remember the knife you have found and struggle to bring it out. With success, you hold the knife and begin to cut away the appendages that bind you. The room vibrates as you do cut, and the creature immediately leaves you alone. It takes you a moment to catch your breath. You come to a divide. Which way do you go? The path you walk comes to an end. Before you shines a pillar of light. The light rests on a corpse that seems to have been there for quite some time. Near the corpse stands a lone flower. For some reason you feel hope enter your heart as you gaze upon the flower. Surely this flower will ease the pain of the specter. You approach the flower and carefully pluck it from the ground. There is something special about this flower. Light continues to pierce through the darkness from an opening above. Surely this gives you some hope that all is not lost. Seeing that there is nothing else for you here, you turn around. You struggle forward as the way, before you becomes completely dark. You notice that there is a light off in the distance, and you continue to make your way forward. Eventually, you make it to some sort of concrete room. Turning around, you see a hole in the wall where you came from. Your guess is that it wasn't part of the initial design. You turn around to see a door. There being little to nothing in the room, you decide to move forward. To move on through the doorway. You find yourself in what looks like a basement. You turn about to discover that in each direction there is a door. Boxes of supplies and debris litter in the room and corners of the room. Litter on the floor and corners of the room. You notice there are several markings on the doors and floor, some of which scare you. You got a bad feeling about this place. You walk about the room, browsing through the dust-covered storage. You find some rope in one of the boxes. It feels strong to the touch and has minimal wear. You decide to take the rope. You enter a small room. There's a large cauldron in the center of the room with wood resting beneath. There is nothing on the shelves, as if someone cleaned this place out. You look into the pot, but find nothing in it. With nothing else to see, you exit the room. You walk up the stairs. Call whatever I want. You enter a large room. The air is polluted with dust and spider web. Cover the walls and ceiling. What should you go now? Where should you go now? Let's go to that door. The door struggles to move, but you enter into what appears to be a spider's den. The air is thick and the room is a mess of web and body parts. You notice there are a couple items in the room that could be useful. If nothing else, there is a key on the ground that you would no doubt need. Before you can even act, a large spider falls from above. You have no doubt it is hungry. Without hesitation, the spider attacks you. You pull out your knife and stab the spider while you can. Unfortunately, the knife doesn't scare the spider, and it bites you with ease. You begin to lose feeling all over your body, and everything goes black. Your adventure ends here. Downstairs we go. You enter a room full of metal cages. Before you is a hallway marked with questionable markings. You don't like the feeling you have about this place. Whatever was in these cages surely did not like to be locked up. You notice there is an animal in the cage on the left side of the room, but from the dark stains of its fur, it is dead. You cautiously walk down the hallway, entering a room with 2 cell doors. Before you can do anything, a large hound leaps in front of you. The beast doesn't look very vicious, but one wrong move could surely be the end of you. You pull out the knife and prepare for an attack. The dog reacts and starts to growl at you. The hound dashes at you and sinks its teeth into you. Even with a knife, you merely cut the beast before it knocks the knife out of your hand. You don't survive long and die a painful death. Your adventure ends here. You discover what looks like a private library. There's a passageway before you with bookcases on the left and right. You take a moment to look at the books. Some of them catch your eye. You flip around until something grabs your attention. Pillars of stone, years before current times, are unique religious practices that revolve the Stonehenge. It is said that these stones are lined up in a special way and often organized in a circular pattern. Organizing the stones this way unlocks an ancient power researchers still have trouble understanding. In the middle of the circle will be a stone or two for the keystone to rest on. There's a great mystery of this ancient practice. From ancient records, it is written that these energies from the surrounding stone channel their power into the keystone. You stop reading because the next page of the book has been torn out. There is a bent page marking a section of the book. You turn to it. The art of eternity is not necessarily limited to the instrument, but how the musician goes about playing a given instrument. Some are definitely easier to use than others, and for skill such as this, there are a few instruments recommended. The harp is one of the recommended instruments. From vicious dogs to shy unicorns, the soothing voice of the harp can calm a troubled heart. Of course, not all creatures can fall for the simple trick, but it can mean the difference between life and death in some situations. Flipping through the pages, there's one in particular that has ink markings all over it. While energy is a powerful substance not only to be trifled with, it is merely a myth that such energies exist. One does not simply stumble upon a pillar of godly power. Even if such a fate is yours, bare hands cannot contain the force. It must be bent and channeled into a specific crafted vessel to carry it. There have been accounts across time of individuals possessing such power. Although they pass away as sand, the relics of power remain as powerful artifacts that nations around the world would fight for. You walk up more stairs. You pause as you notice a stone carving of a person praying that is attached to the wall. There's something odd about it, but you can't put your finger on it. With caution, you continue up the stairs. You enter a strange room with a large globe centered around the room. There are windows that let the light shine through. You notice there is a chest resting upon the wall to the right. You also notice there is another passageway like the previous room. You study the globe attached to the floor surface. The craft is made of metal, and there is a fine detail in their grooves. There's various markings and names scattered across the globe. It takes you a moment before you can find a marking where you are. Aramore. You notice there are some hand-drawn markings within the area, made with black ink. There must be something close by that has interested the author of these markings. To add to the mystery, there are similar markings on other areas around the globe. Approaching the chest, you notice there's a lock fastened to it. With no key to unlock the chest, you decide to leave it alone. You climb the stairs to find a wall ending your path. Above the end is a staircase, is a hatch. Give me a save. You open the hatch and pull yourself up. You have made it to the top of the tower. Before you is a stone of power, resting upon an altar of rock. Dark vines have entangled the structure as if it was feeding off the energies of the stone. Your body begins to tremble as you stand before the stone. You definitely feel weaker being up here, as if the stone is sapping away your energy. You turn around and begin to exit to the hatch. To your surprise, you find it difficult to focus. You suddenly fall down the hatch, it closing behind you. You hit on your head and tumble down the stairs like a rag doll. With a broken neck, you struggle to live, only to die moments later. Your adventure ends here. Let's get that sword. You approach the grave. The ghost appears before. Without hesitation, you reach for the flower to give to the spirit. The spirit grabs the flower from your hand as you extend it to him. You feel a subtle breeze blow by as the figure fades away with the flower. A faint whisper dances about the air. I am free, at last. You feel a sense of relief within you and reach for the sword. You now wield this special sword. You pause to see there is a lake nearby. Let's go to that lake. Resting underwater is an orb of some sort sitting on the bottom of the lake. There is something strange about it, as if it was calling out to you. You close your eyes and jump into the lake. You open your eyes to see the sword. Stone sitting before you. You start to make your way towards it. A large fish comes to view. It quickly notices you with its mouth stretched open. You grab your sword and hold it close, pointing at the fish. The fish swims at you with haste. Just as it gets in the range, you thrust the sword into the top of the mouth. The sword penetrates and goes through the forehead of the fish. It struggles about in pain as blood filters through the water. You pull the sword out, and the fish retreats out of sight. You doubt it will live long. With the fish no longer a threat, you make your way to the orb. Holding it in your hands, you feel it vibrate as if there is energy inside it trying to break loose. It must be important. You exit the lake with the orb in your possession. Oh, I forgot something. Boop, boop, boop. You peer down the well. Other than the evident water at the bottom, there is a coin resting against the wall of the well. If possible, you feel you should go down and take the coin. You pull out the rope you found earlier and fasten it to the well. You climb down with ease and obtain the coin. You struggle to pull yourself up and out of the well, but you do so successfully. You then loosen the rope and store it away. You feel somewhat satisfied that you are 1 coin richer. There's a dark haze about the fountain. The water is black, and the smell burns with every breath. You feel a slight pull towards the fountain as if it was calling for something. You pull out the coin you found and toss it in the water of the fountain. The coin disappears with a subtle splash. The water then fizzles for a moment, quickly returning to a lifeless state. Surely this must mean something. You enter a large room. The door struggles to move, but you enter into what appears to be a spider's den. The air is thick, and the room is a mess of web and body parts. Nothing else, there is a key on the ground. Before you can even act, a large spider falls from above. You have no doubt that it is hungry. Without hesitation, the spider attacks you. You pull out your sword and stab the spider as it lunges at you. Over and over again, you stab the monster. Each time, it squeals in pain. The spider flees into the darkness overhead. You hear it motioning above, possibly to strike again. You notice the key on the ground, close by your feet. Before more trouble happens, you quickly grab the key and make it for the door. You feel you got what you need. There's no reason to go back into that room again. Approaching the chest, you notice there's a lock fastened to it. With the key you found earlier, you try it out on the lock. The lock clicks loose and you open the chest. You discover a small wooden harp resting on linen cloth. You take the harp and close the chest. You make your way down the stairs. Blah, 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 blah. Gotta go fast. Swords, light, dive in. The faint trail comes to an end. You stand before the large stones arranged in the shape of a circle. In the center of the stone, with what appears to be some sort of slaughter hole. You remember the orb you found on the floor on the lake nearby. You place the orb in the slot carved into the center rock. The stone that surrounds you begins to glow. The light radiates and grows brighter. With a flash of light, your surroundings change. The ground no longer is grass. The newly discovered floor appears to be very old, as if crafted by somebody long ago. Rubble and stone near the edges of the platform also hint that this is an ancient place. Looking onward, at the end of the pathway is a fountain of light. There seems to be no beginning or end, an endless power steadily flowing. You are amazed at such a sight. The light intrigues you, and you walk towards it. Rays of light brush about you as if they were seeking to break from its home. You feel the energy flow into you, but you struggle to contain it. Your body begins to glow immensely, and you burn from the inside out. You are blinded by the flow of power and you dissolve before it. Your body becomes disintegrated by the light. Your adventure, unfortunately, ends here. Before I mess this up again. You enter a room full of metal cages. Blah. You cautiously walk down the hallway, entering a room with 2 cell doors. Before you can do anything, a large hound leaps in front of you. The beast doesn't look very vicious, but one wrong move could surely be the end of you. You pull out the harp and begin to pluck at the strings. The hound begins to wag its tail. To your surprise, the beast walks away as if it were charmed by the harp. You never gave it much thought how powerful music can be. You enter the cell on the right. You see a wooden table on its side, some debris on the floor, and a large hole in the corner of the room. Seeing nothing special, you motion towards the hole. You discover a passageway underground. Unfortunately, all you can see is a falling rock blocking the way through. Seeing that there is little you can do, you go back where you came. You open the door to find a skeleton positioned in the corner of the room. There's also a bed and some chains attached to the wall. You have no doubt the individual was locked up for a long time. Inspecting the skeleton, you notice a ring on one of the bone fingers. There's a faint glow of light emanating from the ring, as if it were magical. You may find such a ring useful. You take the ring and put it on with a perfect fit. Seeing that there is nothing of interest here, you leave the cell. Now that I have the ring, let's approach the light. The light intrigues you, and you walk towards it. Rays of light brush about you as if they are seeking to break away from its home. You remember the ring you have found and point it towards the light. Your hand trembles as light flows into it. Before you can think, the light begins to burn and you stumble back. Light shines brightly from the ring. You notice a subtle warmth to it as you observe. You feel that you accomplished what you must do here. You pick up the orb. With the orb back in your possession, you walk back towards the trail. The faint trail comes to an end. There's a collection of stone pillars down the hill. You open the hatch and pull yourself up. You have made it to the top of the tower. Before you is a stone of power resting upon an altar of rock. Dark vines have entangled the structure as if they were feeding off the energies of the stone. Your body begins to tremble as you stand before the stone. You definitely feel weaker being up here, as if the stone is sapping away your energy. You stretch forth your fist and point the ring at the stone. You feel a resistance as if the stone is trying to defend itself. You try to keep hope and focus on the ring. A burst of light shoots out from the ring, penetrating the stone. You feel the very air shake about. The ground beneath your feet begins to vibrate. The ring becomes heavier to hold in place, but you know that it is working. You feel confidence and a sense of joy sweep over you. The light intensifies, nearly blinding you. The ground beneath you shakes violently as if the tower itself is trying to stop you. With little fear in you becomes powerless as you focus on your task. Everything goes white, blinding you completely. A weird sensation comes over you, and you feel as light as a feather. You begin to feel a tingling sensation all over your body as you hone your senses. The feeling suddenly flees your body, and you find yourself motionless. Everything is cold, and your ability to concentrate begins to leave you. You open your eyes and witness what is left of the tower. Even though your adventure ends here, you accomplished what you set out to do. It is finished. Where's that at? That's right. You find yourself gazing over a grass field with hills rolling off into the distance. As if a trick upon your eyes, you see a unicorn. Unsure what is going on, you think of a way to tame the beast. You suddenly remember the harp you found earlier. With the harp in hand, you pluck the strings. A soothing calm comes over you as you listen. The unicorn comes in view and stops before you. The unicorn glares at you, and you begin to hear a faint voice in your head. Human, have ear for my words. A great evil has gripped these lands and has rendered me powerless. You must find some way to stop it. I wish I could help you, but without my full power, I can do little. The fate of this land depends on you. Before you could speak, the unicorn turns and runs off again. You realize that you are alone to complete this quest of yours. It is no longer about saving your farm. You must save the whole land from the spreading darkness. You turn back as you question what you should do next. You blow the rock up and it explodes and dies. Kabooms. The feeling suddenly flees your body and you find yourself motionless. Everything is cold and your ability to concentrate begins to leave you. You open your eyes, witnessing what is left of the tower. You begin to feel something. Warm. Light. It is coming back. You lack the strength to talk as the unicorn comes in view. Light emanates from the horn of its head. All you can do is smile as the creature approaches. The light intensifies. You may have saved the land, but the unicorn has come to save you. Your adventure does not end here. It actually does. It just ended right there.